Hello and welcome back to World 360. 2 years ago, when the Trump administration was still in power, US forces killed this man, a powerful Iranian officer known as General Qasem Soleimani. Soleimani, who led proxy militias that extended the Islamic Republic's power across the Middle East, was killed in an airstrike in Iraq's Baghdad on 3rd January 2020. The assassination was denounced by Iran's foreign ministry as an act of international terrorism. Fast forward to Jan 3rd, 2022, Iran is still seeking justice for Soleimani's assassination, and tensions between Washington and the Islamic Republic are escalating. Let's quickly trace when and how the tensions began to rise. On 3rd January 2022, on the second anniversary of Soleimani's assassination, Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi vowed revenge on the US, and as former President Donald Trump and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo were put on trial. His exact words during a televised address were, "The aggressor, murderer, and main culprit, the then President of the United States, must be tried and judged under the law of retribution, and God's ruling must be carried out against him." Keep in mind that Raisi was elected as the Iranian president just 6 months ago. He is a 60-year-old cleric who enjoys wide support from conservative and hardline politicians and factions, and has previously served as the head of Iran's judiciary. It's also important to note that Soleimani was killed while on a diplomatic mission in Baghdad, and Iran later retaliated by firing 2 missiles at 2 US bases in Iraq, which had no casualties. The country later set the complete withdrawal of American military forces from the region. Iran has also called on the UN to issue resolutions against the US and Israel. Iranian officials have accused both the nations of providing assistance for the drone attack which killed Soleimani. Now we know that Iran had requested Interpol red notices for the arrest of Trump and dozens of other US officials. But this year, Iran took this further. On 8 January, Iran added 51 more US officials to its blacklist for Soleimani's killing, such as Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley, US Central Command Chief Kenneth McKenzie, some officials from the Pentagon, and commanders in US bases in the region. Tehran had previously imposed sanctions on Trump, Pompeo, and 8 others. A day later, on 9th January, the White House responded by threatening severe consequences if any US nationals are attacked. The statement read, "As Americans, we have our disagreements on politics. We have our disagreements on Iran policy. But we are united in our resolve against threats and provocations. Should Iran attack any of our nationals, including any of the 51 people named yesterday, it will face severe consequences." Let's zoom out for a minute. A spat like this between US and Iran comes at a time when the Biden administration is attempting to resume talks on the landmark 2015 nuclear deal, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or the JCPOA, a deal which the previous Trump administration abandoned in 2018. Here's why this nuclear deal is important. The JCPOA was preceded by years of tension between Iran and the international community over the former's alleged attempts and efforts to develop a nuclear weapon. Before 2015, Iran had a stockpile large enough to create 8 to 10 bombs, according to the Obama administration. But Tehran has been insisting its nuclear program was entirely peaceful. On 14 July 2015, Iran and several world powers, such as the US, signed the JCPOA, which placed major restrictions on Iran's nuclear program in exchange for relief sanctions. The objective of this was to scale back Iran's nuclear program so that if it did decide to pursue a nuclear weapon, it would take at least 1 year for it, giving the world powers time to respond. But Israel, a regional arch-foe of Iran, opposed the agreement and said it was too lenient. The deal came into effect in January 2016, but in 2018, the Trump administration withdrew from it. Trump even put banking and oil sanctions back in place, and in 2019, it was reported that India, under pressure from the Trump administration, stopped the import of oil from Iran. Now, the Biden administration is trying to get the deal back on track, but it has not been easy. On 1st January this year, Iran's foreign ministry made a veiled reference to the Biden administration being responsible for Soleimani's assassination. In a statement, it said that Soleimani's assassination was orchestrated and carried out in an organized manner by the then US government, for which the White House is now responsible. This is Pia Krishnankutty for ThePrint. Thank you so much for watching.